Hello everyone, this is just a test, our test podcast, our first podcast we're going to put on the YouTube channel for our new community group we've created on Facebook called Voice for All Caregivers. It's run by myself, Dave, Debbie, it's run by also Laura, Jess and Aidan. Aidan's our tech guy and Laura and Jess are other two admins. So it's the five of us. We're basically building a community on Facebook where we support each other, give advice, reach out for advice, pick each other up and just basically support each other like that. We've got lots planned for the future. We're going to be doing podcasts throughout the year with all sorts of topics. We're going to be doing social meetups and a lot more on top of that. So this is just our first podcast just to get a feel for it, introduce ourselves and see how it goes. Do you want to speak, Deb?
Yeah, so basically we set up the Voice for All Caregivers as to help build a community of people who are caring for loved ones who may be suffering with mental health, mental illness or physical disabilities, or even those who are in the throes of addiction or from recovery. And it's all about basically giving a voice to those who are the caregivers rather than the focus always being on the person with the illness, the disability. Because often I think there's times where you're constantly looking after everybody else and you forget to look after yourself. So for instance, my personal side is I've brought up children who've had two of which are have autism, and there's always been support there, support groups for them to help them coping with autism and ways of me supporting them with autism, but there wasn't necessarily the help for me as a parent, somebody to say, are you okay, are you coping, how do you feel? And to be honest, I never looked for it, because you don't think about yourself when you are being the carer or being the caregiver.
Yeah.
So it's more a case of setting up this group so that people who are caregivers do get a voice and do get the chance where they've got somewhere safe where they can rant, they can ask for advice, and they'll receive nothing but support without judgment. You know, and I think, like so the social meetups, again, if you are a caregiver, even if it's a case of you working within the care sector or in the hospitals, while you're a caregiver, you don't always take that time to think about your own needs and your own health and your own mental health, mental wellness, and thinking about. So basically that's what our group's about.
Yeah.
And so our group's about giving a voice to those who are usually the ones giving a voice for somebody else. So it's about giving yourself a voice and asking for help, because, you know, it's not selfish.
No.
It's, you know, it's something that as a caregiver you'd often think, well, you know, their needs come first, or your loved one or family member, or even, you know, patients, residents, or whatever, their needs come first, but your needs are just as important.
Yeah, so you've probably got a vast range of knowledge with your experience. Anyone who's in the same position as you, bringing up children like that who are autistic,
who have autism.
Sorry, yeah. You've probably got a catalogue of questions that are in your mind, if you like, your memory of what you might ask, where you might need. So if someone who's reaching out, or someone's in a predicament and not quite sure what to do, or would just like to not feel alone, you'll be able to relate to them straight away.
It's the not feeling that you're doing it on your own. And I think, like, if, you know, my mum's got Lewy body's Parkinsonisms at the moment, so it's going through the minefield of finding the right care and the right treatment and the right path forward for my mum. So as a caregiver, you go into autopilot, and you it's constantly, right, what do I need to do today to make sure that their lives are okay? So what do I need to do to make sure that they're getting the right medication, the right treatment?
So you don't look after yourself, do you?
Because you don't think you need to.
Yeah.
Because you think that your needs aren't necessarily as important as those that you're caring for or looking after or just being there for. You don't always put your own needs first. So it's a case of finding that outlet that says, yeah, you can put your needs first.
Would there be a fear? Would there be a fear sometimes, Deb? Would there be a fear that there might have been times when you might have been feeling low, or might have been feeling like you needed support, but because you feel as though you're holding everyone else together? Would you ever have that fear as in, well, if I
big
can't?
Fear.
Yeah.
That's the biggest fear, that sort of, if I break, then so does everybody else.
Yeah.
And if sometimes there's a feeling of, if I shout out for help, then that means I can't do it.
Right, okay, yeah.
And that means that people are going to look and go, oh, she's struggling there, she can't do it.
Especially
So
when
they'll
there's children
take that away.
involved as well. People, because that alarm bell go, even though like we know that's very extreme that'll happen in society, that alarm bell must ring.
But it does, and I think it's a lot of it is the pressure that you put on yourself and the questions that you put to yourself. So, for instance, there were times, you know, kids growing up, which is, you know, normal for every parent. As your kids are growing up, they turn into teenagers, life gets difficult. But you can't ask for help, or you feel like you can't, because you feel like if you do, then that means you're failing.
Yeah.
That means that you're weak.
Yeah.
It means that you know, obviously you can't cope.
Yeah.
When in reality you can, you just need someone's hand at the back of you now and again.
Yeah.
Or somebody to put the hand out and say, how do you feel today?
Yeah.
But quite often when somebody does ask you how you feel, the first thing you say, I'm fine, I'm coping.
Yeah.
So that mask goes on in the morning and stays there.
Yeah.
And so it's, yeah, I'm fine, yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah.
But everybody needs a bit of help sometimes.
Of course we do, yeah.
You just don't always know who to ask or where to go, because like I say, it's obviously at the moment, you know, we've gone through the diagnosis with my mum and everything, and so everything has become about my mum. And it's not that, you know, I'm looking for somebody to go, oh, you know, how are you doing?
Yeah.
But all the leaflets is all about the condition, all about, you know, even like, so, you know, the kids with autism, there's a diagnosis, here's where they can go, here's what they can do, here's the place that you can go on these courses to learn how to support them better. But there was nobody saying, here's a coffee morning for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's somewhere you can go.
Some people
Here's
who
an outlet.
people who are in the same boat as well. It's so important, isn't it?
That's it.
Because we all
you go into that fight mode.
Yeah.
Of, you know, yeah, I can do it. Yeah, I'll do it. You know, I'll get sorted. And you do.
Yeah.
You know, and don't get me wrong. You know, it's not a case of, you know, everybody who's a caregiver, you know, can't cope or is struggling or anything else. But it is a case of just taking 5 minutes to think about you.
Yeah.
And to do something that is just for you.
Yeah.
Because you don't. Because you think, oh yeah, I can't go and do that because such and such needs this or such and such needs that. But there's got to be a time where you've got to stop and go, I need.
Yeah.
You know. And there's nothing selfish about it.
No, there's not, no. There's not.
And that's where, like, so the social meetups from a group will come in handy, because it's, if I'd have had somewhere I could go where I could sit there and rant, but it not be taken as a judge that, one, I couldn't cope, or two, that I hated me kids, or anything like that. Just a rant. Today's been difficult because of this, or today's been difficult because of that. And somebody else to go, I get you.
That's right. Yeah.
I understand. And it's the same with working in care. You know, I worked in care for a few years, and working in care, you know, you put so much into the residents or the patients, and you put your all in, and you do everything for them. But within care, there's so much loss that you go through, and there isn't necessarily always the help or the support there either. No, you know, you can go in and be, you
you get connected, don't you, to the clients and everything, so the residents, should I say.
That's it, and then you can be laying that resident to rest. And, you know, you wash them down, you clean them, and, you know, everything else. And then you're straight back into the next shift, or into the next shift, or into the next shift. And then it comes with its own pressures, because no matter what, you can't be detached. If you work in care, you cannot detach yourself from the whole situation. You can't.
No.
And there's always going to be that one person or two or whatever that sticks with you. And it's that emotional side of it that, you know, you do get emotionally invested. You can't help it.
Do you know what? I noticed that becoming a taxi driver. I became a taxi driver about 9 years ago, and all of a sudden, a lot of pensioners use taxis, and obviously I'm not working in a care environment like yourself, was I'm just sort of taking them from A to B. But then next thing you hear of a regular passing away, and you'd think, you'd be surprised, you'd see them 4 or 5 times a week, going to the hairdressers, going to the doctors, going wherever, and you get to the they're like, I love when you speak to like pensioners or older people, more mature people, got some great stories, and next thing they'd be in your car, like going to the post office one day, just talking about general chit chat, and the next thing then you'd hear a week later, oh, they've passed away.
Yeah.
And you'd be like,
see, that's it.
First time that hit me in the taxi, I was thinking, it hit me quite hard. I was thinking, wow, I'm not going to see them again.
You don't realise that it does it yet.
Yeah.
Again, like, so if you know, when you're working in the care sector and you do lose a resident, it could be somebody that you've cared for 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, it could even be 5 years.
Yeah.
And then they pass, and then it's, you know, who's there to say to you, are you okay? And you do feel bad because you think, I'm not a family member.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't need any support. But you're as good as a family member.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're in care for the right reasons, and you're putting your all into the caring for the people that you're working for, you know, you do get emotionally invested.
Yeah.
You can't help it.
Yeah.
So when one of them pass, it's exactly the same as a loved one passing.
Just out of interest, why it's on my mind, what would you do as a carer in the care home? What would the staff, would they do anything? Would they sort of, or would you just have a little talk about it amongst yourselves to help offload it? Would there be anything that you do sort of subconsciously to try and support each other?
Obviously, you know, you will get your colleagues that will support you.
You'd obviously get more colleagues than others, depending on who is. Yeah.
Well, you always get your hug.
Yeah.
You get your brew.
Yeah.
You know, and you get you get time to rest.
Yeah.
And things like that. But again, because of the environment that you're in, that's care, and I'm not saying that the care workers don't support each other. Yeah. They do. But if you're in the care
still
system,
in the working environment, I suppose.
You're offloading onto somebody who's also offloading back onto you about the same thing.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it does have its uses and its connections and everything else. But again, you could be...
I suppose it's outside the work, isn't it? Because you're in working mode, I suppose, professional mode.
That's the thing.
So once you clock off, you all go your separate ways then.
But that's it. But it's also a case of, if you're in there and you've, you know, helped clean and, you know, lay a person to rest and things like that before the undertakers come, within an hour you're back on shift. You're back to do it, because that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, there isn't always time to process it, and sometimes it can be 3-4 months later, and you sort of go, wow, or there'll be a song will come on, or something will happen or a smell within the home, and it's, you know, straight away, such and such. And it's always hard when a resident passes and a new resident comes and goes into their room. Yeah. And that's hard.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's hard.
Because the bed's just filled,
That's it. It's sort of, you know, one in, one out.
Yeah.
And
it's like that conveyor belt mentality, but I don't know. See, no one really means that to happen, but that's the way society is, because the way the population is and the way there's so many of us. But just a quick one, Jay, just while you're having a sip of your tea. Just so everyone, there's lots of carers on the Facebook page already. We've got about 300 members. There's lots of carers already on there who work in care homes, and we're hoping to get some of them on the podcast.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
You know, so sort of relate on to Debbie, what Debbie's saying, and just sort of people who are still doing their jobs today. But just want to tell you a quick story that you just remind me of. Another thing, when I first started, it was quite surreal really, because I'm like 50 years of age now, and when I first started taxiing 9 years ago, I picked up me, talking about relating to loss, what you're saying, I picked up my primary school teacher, and he hadn't seen it obviously since primary school. I don't know if I'm allowed to say her name, probably not, I won't say her name, but you know, but anyway, I picked her up and I hadn't seen her for like 40 years, and you know, she didn't really remember me, but she remembered some people. I recognised her straight away. She hadn't aged a day. She hadn't aged a day. She looked exactly what she did, because she looked a little bit like an old woman when we were in, because in the 70s, I think women just a bit older when they were like, she must have probably been in her 40s, back in the 70s, but you know, she looked exactly the same. She probably had the same dress on. It just looked exactly the spot the straight away as I pulled up. And anyway, next thing you know, she hadn't just become a taxi driver, and she started using us, her and her sister, and it turns out that her and her sister were both teachers, and they'd lived together all their lives. It was a bit like, you know, that was their setup, it worked for them, and they had their own bit of space in the house and that, and they owned the house, you know, they owned the house between them and stuff. So anyway, for about 12 months I was picking them up, not every week, but you know, every couple of weeks I'd pick them up. Anyway, what happened was, the sister had fallen and went into the care home. The sister who I didn't know went into the care home, and then I picked up my teacher, and she said to me, it suddenly dawned on me that I'm not going to see my sister again. She's not coming home. And then about a week later, she was found passed away. She was found passed away. And
broken heart.
Broken heart, probably. And then next thing you know, a couple of years passed by, and the last I heard, the sister's still alive in the care home.
Incredible.
Do you know what I mean? It was just like, and it was just a bizarre situation. And obviously I dwelled on it quite a bit. I was thinking about it, and I had obviously mixed thoughts about it. I thought how weird it was, the way I met her right at the end of her life. And I remember her when I was so young, because we just moved to a new area when she became my teacher, and it was just, I was new in the area, she was my first teacher.
She's met you at the beginning of your life, and you meet her at the end.
That's right. And you wonder how much the care home was good for the sister. You know, like...
I think once they've got to the care home stage, when it's, you know, there's the guilt that his sister would have had.
But what I mean is, the woman that went in the care home, you wonder, this might sound a bit crazy what I'm going to say now, but the way I was just used to dwell and think about it, and I thought, you know what, it's a shame they both never went in.
I suppose the sister will have been getting the care.
Getting the care, social involvement, and it's just, she went from looking like the one that was going to pass away to getting the support. And last I spoke to, I work for a different firm now, so I'm in a different area, but last a couple of years passed and she was still doing well and she was great in there and stuff, and it was just a sort of surreal scenario. But I've had lots of
it's similar to being in a taxi when you're in care. You're in somebody's life. You know, even if it's a small part, a big part, even if it's, you know, if you're a home carer and you're going into people's house, you're going into somebody's home. And when somebody's getting into a taxi and they start opening up,
they open up to cabbies, they especially
because they think they're never going to see it again. So it's, you know,
there's two sides to what you're saying there. You're right, but there's one thing that you don't realise either. I didn't realise before I got into the job, is there's like a taxi world out there, if you like, who are regulars. A lot of them are pensioners, so the pensioners, they won't really have much to spend the money, I suppose. I know some pensioners haven't got much money, but ones who have got a good pension or whatever, or they get by on their state pension or whatever, or both, they'll find that their pension will go on taxis to the hairdressers, taxis to the doctors, taxis to the post office, taxis to the shop.
But the thing is, you then become your friend.
You end up seeing them, you know,
and that's again, like working in care, you're in every day. You're there with them pretty much every day. But you're in. But
in a care home, it's more intense. I don't say in a care, you're in for 12 hours a day and stuff like that. But I've got a bit of an insight to what you're saying, though.
Even if you was to spend 10 minutes a day, every day with somebody, 10-minute drive, that's a lot of time over years. And
I'd say off the top of my head, there's probably been 40 or 50 over the last 9 years that I've heard have passed away. There's been a lot.
But that's it's hard.
Some shock you more than others, don't they? And you just think, I think when they look really healthy, they're the biggest shock. When someone looks really healthy and then you won't see them for about 2 months, and someone will go, oh, they passed away. And you're like...
That's it, again, it's hard, again, like so care homes and hospitals, you can leave a shift. And residents or patients is fine. And then you'll get a message from somebody the next day saying they passed. So the shock's there again. But again, it's like, so bringing it back to the group, that's what the group's there for.
To support each other,
To support each other. So there's an understanding and empathy from people who have actually been there. You know, so there's not going to be any judgments. And, you know, there's so many times when you're in work or you keep being a carer where you just want to scream. And you want to just rant. And again, you don't want to rant and be feeling like you're moaning. Because they're your loved ones, they're your children, it's your job. You know, but
and sometimes
you just want to rant. Because not every resident in a care home is easy to look after. Not every loved one or family member is easy to look after. And sometimes they're a nightmare, and sometimes you just want to say, pick a window. You know,
that's right, when they're
obviously you're not going to throw them through it, but you know, it's that thought of sometimes it just becomes too much. Or sometimes it just becomes too emotionally too much, and then it becomes that circle of, you know, oh, I shouldn't be feeling like this because I work here, I'm getting paid for this, or I shouldn't be feeling like this because if they see me upset,
you feel as though especially if the family are coming in and stuff like that, you've got to sort of look like,
if it's your own family and it's your own loved one, you know, you don't want to sit there and go, oh my God, it's really hard to look after you, it's really stressful, because it's not. because you do it with pleasure.
Yeah.
It's just it's nice to have that somewhere where
Yeah.
you can just go.
Yeah.
And just
So
let
the
it
page
all
is
out.
like a safe space, isn't it? Because we've
It's
even
a
got
safety net.
Yeah, we've got loved
You know?
ones and family members who we might be really close to in a certain way, or in a lot of ways, but they're not. You can't open up to them about.
Sometimes you don't want to either, because
Yeah.
you don't want to be, especially if it's somebody that's within the family. So say a mother or father, and there's 3 or 4 siblings that are looking after them.
Yeah.
You can't say to your other sibling, "Oh my God, this is too much."
Yeah.
Because, well, you can, but you feel like you can't because you don't want to say to them, "Oh, I'm struggling here."
Yeah.
Because
It's the hardest word to say, isn't it? It's the hardest word to say, yeah.
They're in the same boat, so you don't want to put more pressure on them by saying, "I'm struggling."
Yeah.
And they don't want to put more pressure on you by saying, they're struggling.
Yeah.
So, it kind of gets
Yeah.
stuck. Whereas if you go to somewhere that is neutral,
Yeah.
and somewhere that somebody's going to say, "Look, I went through that with my parents or my child or my loved one."
Yeah.
Here's somewhere you can go, "Oh, here's a little bit of advice."
Yeah.
There's all little tips and tricks that you learn. It's like being a parent. When you get that newborn child, you're like, "Oh, what do I do?" And if somebody will say, "Yeah, try this," or "Try that," it can be game changing.
Yeah. Well, that's big. That's big in childbirth. And when they have these mums clubs, don't do it to swap tips and stuff like that.
So, and there are carers groups out there, but a lot of the time when you go into the care, it's for select conditions. So
that was the point I was going to make about this,
or just for that, or just for this. And if you've got a mixture, or like, so if you're working within care or within the hospitals or anything else, it's sort of there's a wide variety. So and again, there isn't necessarily a group anywhere that is support for care workers in a care home, or support for CSWs in hospitals. There's no groups out there that say.
I was just going to make that point, for the video, because we're talking about care homes at the moment, but the groups for anyone who cares for anyone or works
all caregivers.
So whether you've got someone you might have a family member who's got an addiction, or family member who's on alcohol, or family member who suffers from mental health, and the page is reaching out to everyone as well, just so everyone knows, because we've all got a family member or someone who we stress over a little bit, or we're worried about in some way, and also people out there as well who sort of are suffering or feel low or feel socially isolated.
So those who
we want them to join as well. People who are getting cared for. So anyone who's watching this video now and they just feel like they're a bit socially isolated, or they've got stuff on their mind, or they just feel like they could do with a bit of support, we want you to join our group. We want you to hit the link and join the group off this video.
See, the thing is for like carers, people who are actually receiving care, for those to join the page and to share their experiences and share the things that would make life easier for them, which then in turn makes it easier for the caregiver. So it's got to be a wide range, and the group is not exclusive to care homes or
that's
it's for anybody at all who feels that they would benefit from it, and so coming up we've got our social meetups. The first one is going to be the
second. First one's going to be,
is it the 9th?
Do you know what? Just needs to be on the wrong page. It's going to be the second Thursday in February. So it's the 9th,
It's the 9th.
It's the 9th.
So the 9th of February, we're going to have our first meet-up, which will be in Birkenhead Park at the cafe. So we'll have our first meet-up there, and that's for anyone who wants to come along. And it's just a meet and chat. Just chat. Get to meet people. Help, help with social isolation, so you can get out and meet people. The admin team will be there. Myself, Dave and Laura will be there, so you can get to know the admin team, but you can also get to know other people who will be in similar situations to yourselves, and again, swapping advice, swapping stories, swapping just general chit chat, just a way of socialising without the pressures of having to worry that if you're not so happy that day, somebody's going to get on your case, or just somewhere you can go and rant.
Just somewhere to rant, and
just let off steam. Just be yourself, not the carer, not the mum, not the dad, not the
Yeah,
Not
and
just
to share experiences and stuff. You know what I mean? People just to talk,
just to talk and talk to another human being.
Just to add there now, while we're on this first social meetup, we've got plans as well through the year. We're going to have themed social meetups. Yeah, so we've talked about them. We're gonna run them out probably in the spring towards the summer. But we're looking at a meetup which is going to be the same ethos is going to be on people meeting up, talking, having a brew. But there's going to be a bit of a theme going on in the background or running alongside it. So we've got plans. One's going to be on local history, so we're going to have like local historians turn up and people telling stories about local history on the Wirral. One's going to, which will be good. Yeah, we're going to have one based on spirituality. Really looking forward to that one. I'm looking forward to all of them, but the spirituality one, we're going to have sort of, someone's going to do a meditation, someone's going to talk about crystals, someone's going to talk about their spiritual awakening, how they got into spirituality. So it's not going to be like too heavy and sort of like as if it's sort of ramming it down people's throats. There's just going to be a bit of a theme to the day, and it'll be advertised on the page, and we will invite everyone to come along, and if anyone wants to ask a few questions or get involved. So we've got guest speakers coming to that. We're looking at doing one on nutrition, one on music therapy, one on art therapy, and there's going to be just themed days like that. So I'm looking forward to running them out. They're going to be amazing. And the pod, just to go back on the podcast plan as well, why we're on that. The first social meetup is going to be on the 9th of January. The next podcast is going to be on the 16th, and the podcast are obviously going to be themed as well. We're going to have a lot of sort of health workers on the podcast and
some guest speakers
and guest speakers, health professionals. But we're also going to go on topics as well. So a lad who runs the 12 Keys Boxing Gym in Birkenhead, Mickey Allen, he's already agreed. So he's coming on a podcast talking about his life in boxing, his gym, all the great work it does in the community, what it offers, all sorts of stuff like that. We're going to have a paranormal podcast, which we're going to have a look ghost hunters on and people who go looking for ghosts and stuff. We're going to have behind you. We're going to have a history podcast, and we're going to have themed podcasts as well. So it's all going to be for our viewers, for our members, on our community that we've built on Facebook, Voice for All Caregivers. But these are just people to listen. People can listen to. We're going to go on Spotify, so people can listen to them in the car.
A couple that are just sort of easy listening,
and
then the others will be more informative.
Yeah, they'll probably all go a bit heavy. That's how it gets on podcast. Gets a bit heavy, but it's just going to be. They're going to be more. They're all around the page, but some will be really about health, and it might be about care homes. It might be about alcohol.
And if there's any subjects
misuse
that anybody listening would like us to cover on a podcast, then please just get in touch with us. It's not a problem. Or if there's any questions you'd like to ask or anything, get in touch. Happy to ask any questions.
Because we're going to open the podcast as well. Once we've got a few podcast lines up, we're going to open it then to our members on the Facebook page to come on the podcast if they want to. So anyone who's watching this video now on YouTube who feels like they want to be part of our community, then they just join the Facebook page, and then all the podcasts, they'll be on YouTube anyway, they'll all get uploaded onto there as well. And we're going to invite members on the stuff, and people, anyone who wants to come on and talk about. And it hasn't got to be, even though the whole ethos is to get people involved and support people, it's about people telling the stories as well, like the way I've gone on about my taxi there and gone on about driving. It's about people just going on about their lives and stuff like that. And anyone who knows me really, really well will know that I've got a lot of stories about a lot of pointless stories. I've lived there. I've done 101 jobs and I've lived in a lot of areas. I've lived right across Birkenhead, everywhere from the north end of Birkenhead to downtown onto the estates as well. So I've lived everywhere in the Wirral. So I've got a lot of stories. When I've been working since the age of 10. I was a milkman's helper from the age of 10. I'm 50 now. Been working 6 days a week. All my life, it's now gone to 7. So I think that's the way my life is. So that it's about life experience. Say it again. Yeah, it's about life experience and stuff like that, and just talking. So
I hope you've enjoyed listening to our podcast, and look forward to doing the next one, and hopefully see you all at our social meetup on the 9th.
See you at the social meetup. Hit the link on the podcast.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah, to subscribe. Do all the nice stuff. Subscribe. Hit like. Hit the link. Feel free to join the Facebook page. We've got a couple of 100 members already, and it's growing all the time. Join the Facebook page. Get involved. Just one last thing to put on the about as well. The Facebook page, when you join the community, there's a few little questions to ask, a few rules. They're just basic rules to keep it friendly and polite. It's a safe place to talk, but also want people to understand that they can post what they want on the page. So the idea of our page is, if something's going on in the community that you feel like our members can benefit from, we want you to put it on the page and advertise it and let the members know what's going on. So, but there is rules around it. We don't, it's a well-behaved, we just support each other, we pick people up. That's how the page works.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, well listen, thanks for listening. Look forward to the next one. Stay tuned. Take care now.